I'm Nicholas Halbert. I'm the canon precentor here at the Episcopal Cathedral of the Nativity in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I got my start in organ when I was in 7th grade. I joined the boy choir at St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral, San Diego, in 3rd grade. And so singing with organ week after week, it's only a matter of time, right, before you want to play this instrument. 7th grade was when I'd sort of hit the level of keyboard proficiency that the canon for music there was looking for. So I started taking organ lessons, and the rest was history. My interest and passion for the organ was just immediate. I was appointed the organ scholar at St. Paul's when I was 16, and in a sort of unusual circumstance for a lot of American churches. There was no assistant organist at the time, so it was an organ scholarship sort of in the collegiate fashion with quite a bit of accompanying going on at the weekly Mass and Evensong. From there, I went on to the Eastman School of Music, studied with Professor Nathan Lauba on the organ. I went on to Southern Methodist, where I studied with Professor Stefan Engels, and then finally earned my doctorate at Arizona State with Dr. Kimberly Marshall. It's been a wonderful journey to get here. I'm so thrilled to be in this position in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, running the music program at the cathedral. We have many different services every single week. We have a choral mass. We have a Spanish language mass. We have a more contemporary service. And then we also offer, as of recording, all sorts of things on Saturday evenings. Some exciting initiatives I've developed since getting here are an Anglo-Catholic mass that's just full of chant and something that's very hard to find in the Lehigh Valley. So it's really cool that we get to offer it here. And monthly choral evensongs. So this is just kind of a paradise for an organist, getting to make music as a soloist every week, but also getting to lead a choir program and perform so much of the music that I grew up singing as a boy chorister. So it's an amazing place to be. And that's the story of how I got here to Bethlehem as the director of music. So when preparing for a performance, the primary challenge is finding that balance between refining, working on little details, really micromanaging everything about it, and also getting in the right headspace to actually sit down and perform something. And that's a constant seesaw to work out, because dissecting the music and really getting to its core is what gives you the confidence and, of course, the level of detail that you want in a great performance, while at the same time, it doesn't necessarily prepare you for just running the thing. And this is something I experience as a soloist, but also in leading a choir. You deal with the exact same sort of struggle with finding that perfect balance between developing skill, developing detail, refinement, artistry, and also being able to do the task at hand, which is to perform. I'm fortunate here. This is a cathedral and congregation that are very supportive of music. And I'm very lucky to get to play concert-length voluntaries every week, which is a real blessing. So I don't have to think, I got to keep this under 3 minutes. I can play a 10-minute postlude here, and people will stay and listen, and I'm very grateful and appreciative for that. But it does create a situation where basically every week is the next big performance. And, it's a little tiring, but it keeps you getting out of bed every day. It gives you something to do. It gives you a lot of work. So I love preparing for a performance, and it's all about finding that balance between detail and being able to run it and play it. So at the beginning of this program, you got a chance to hear the full chorus of this instrument playing Viern's Finale from Symphony No. 1. This instrument, though built by an American builder, definitely has a French accent, and that's in no small part thanks to the mounted cornet up above the solo division that, when piled on top of the chorus, lends the bold harmonics that sound somewhat like a French organ, and I hope that comes across. But now I want to take just a second to highlight some of the stops from the Aeolian-Skinner that were preserved in the rebuild. The first is this pair of just gorgeous strings. Perfect for supporting the choir in a soft moment. And then, when that's too much, we can go down to the Erzählers. When the box closes on those, in a full house, almost imperceptible, just gorgeous. Finally, a couple of the solo stops. We have this orchestral clarinet. The French horn. And then finally, this flute harmonique, voiced by Austin. A really, really beautiful sound. So those are some of the colors that you didn't get to hear in the repertoire, but certainly are used every week here in choral accompanying and liturgical playing. Hey, so we are here inside the chambers. The way we get in is by going out onto the balcony behind us and coming through. That was recently done. It used to be that you had to come up from the basement to get into here to do any work. Right now, we're kind of just in the side of the building of the church. And in this cavity is a fair amount of the pedal division. So if you look up that way, you're actually looking, that wooden wall right there is the back of the choir stalls. And if we turn and face that way, we are looking at the aisle of the church. Up above is the solo division, or portions of the solo division, which speak directly into the church, as well as more of the pedal. Above us directly is the swell chamber, which is enclosed, and it gives you a sense of just how recessed that swell chamber is. And finally, you can't even really see it from the inside, the great organ is mounted largely over the choir stalls from here. When the organ was redone in the 90s, Aeolian-Skinner had put the instrument on 3 separate levels, and there was a pretty constant issue with tuning as a result. Austin put most of the instrument, or at least most of the smaller pipe work of the instrument, onto one level. So the great and swell are level with each other, and that has significantly helped with tuning. But as you know, in an old 19th century building like this, in the winter especially, it can be hard to keep up with those freezing temperatures kind of coming in through the walls. So at this point, Stephen's going to take you up and give you a tour of some different parts of the swell and great chambers. Thank you.
All right, we are still at the bottom of the pedal chamber, and directly behind me here is the 16-foot pedal boarding. We should specifically note that the 32-foot stops on this organ are by Walker. Definitely probably would not have been able to fit a 32 in this space, but it is quite the size. And obviously behind us here, as Nicholas mentioned, is the pipe facade that leads out into the sanctuary. It's a little dark back there. There's not much light going on there. And obviously we have the pedal mixture. It's also down here. That is all here. And now we're going to move up the ladder, and we are going to see what is directly above. We are now the next level up, and we have the very loud pedal bombard in front of us here. This is looking directly down, as you would see on the top here. So many pipes into one space, an area here. Alrighty, we are now heading up towards the top here. And if we look really closely, we can see a lot of pipes. This is the great section, the organ. Wonderful layout, really, really, really nice. So much I could say about this. And we had an accidental vibrato go off there. And if we look over to the side here, you can see one of Walker's 1103 speakers, and that's powering some of the sound through Walker. And as we come on down here, see more pipes here. And off to the side here, a lot of pedal pipe. Tons of pedal pipe all the way across the back wall. And that's that. Alrighty, and now we are finally at the very top of this organ. We are now in the swell. Really, really, really nicely laid out once again. What isn't there to say about this? Beautifully, beautifully laid out. Yeah, you won't see this most likely anywhere else. Simply wonderful. All the way up.
Now, you'll get to hear a sample of the plenum of this organ, playing just the beginning of Bach's prelude in C minor. And I want you to just notice how bold and powerful this Austin plenum is. It's such a delight to be on an instrument built in the 20th century that really can play Bach in such a compelling and successful way on a weekly basis. So thank you so much. I'm Nicholas Halbert. Thank you for joining me visiting the Cathedral of the Nativity right here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.